The Greatest Thing in the World by Henry Drummond. The Analysis. Part 11. My name is Steve Van Eiderstein, and welcome to The Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk. And welcome back, everybody that's been following along with us. I really do appreciate everyone's support and everything that people have been commenting, sharing, liking, all the good stuff. If you could go ahead, give us a like, give us a subscribe, a follow, depending on which platform you're on. I would greatly appreciate it. I'm really happy to see that this content's getting in front of a lot of people. So thank you so much for all of that. So today, what we are going through is we're going to be finishing up the analysis, but we're not finishing up completely today. I think it'll be just one more episode after this, one or two. I'm not entirely sure. So in total, the conclusion of the analysis, I don't want to confuse anybody. So the ending of the analysis will be another including this episode, will be 2 or 3. Now, last week we finished up the virtues. We talked about sincerity. Loved that podcast. Loved that topic. It was fantastic. So what we are going into today is the first part of the ending of this section, which is going to be titled Learning to Love, which is what Drummond brings us into after discussing all of these virtues. And I really enjoyed it. It's a longer reading, so let's go ahead and dig right into it. And then we'll have a good discussion about this. So here we go. This is Learning to Love, the 11th part of Henry Drummond's book. 11th part of the analysis, the second part of Henry Drummond's book, The Greatest Thing in the World. So much for this analysis of love. Now, the business of our lives is to fit these things into our character. That is the supreme thing to which we need to address ourselves, to learn love. And act. I skipped a page. And life is full of opportunities for learning love. Every man and woman has 1,000 of them every day. The world is not a playground. It is a schoolroom. And its great lesson that we are always to learn is the lesson of love in all its parts. What makes a man a good football player? Practice. What makes a man a good artist, a good sculptor, a good musician? Practice. What makes a man a good athlete? Practice. What makes a man a good man? Practice. Nothing else. There is nothing capricious about religion. We do not get the soul in a different way under different laws from that in which we get the body. If a man does not exercise his arm, he gets no bicep muscles. And if a man does not exercise his soul, he has no muscle in his soul, no strength of character, no robustness. Love is not a thing of emotion and gush. It is a robust, strong, manly, vigorous expression of the whole character nature in its fullest development. And these things are only to be acquired by daily and hourly practice. Do not quarrel, therefore, with your lot in life. Do not quarrel with the reality you have of life. Do not be angry that you have to go through a network of temptation, that you are haunted with it every day. That is your practice, which God appoints you. That is your practice, and it is having its work in making you patient and humble and sincere and unselfish and kind and courteous and guileless. Do not grudge the hand that is molding this shapeless image in you. It is growing more beautiful, and every touch is adding to its perfection. Keep in the midst of life. Do not isolate yourself. Be among men, and among things, and among troubles, and amongst difficulties and obstacles. Bear with me here. Es bildet ein Talent sichens der Stil. Dolchine Charakter in dem Strom der Welt. You remember Goethe's words. Talent develops itself in solitude. Character in the stream of life. Talent develops itself in solitude. The talent of prayer, of faith. Character in the stream of life. That is where you are to learn to love. So there we go. That is the reading for today. And first and foremost, I need to apologize for my terrible German pronunciation. I gave it my best shot. I will not be repeating it in this podcast. Please let me know. Did I do horribly? I would love to hear it. But I did the best I could. And thank you for your understanding and your compassion. Now, as for the reading overall, absolutely incredible reading. Fantastic. It's the part we forget about. We like to talk about the ideas, the concepts, the theoretical application of these things. But what Drummond is telling us is, hey, here's some instructions. Here's the task you need to next take on now. Now that we've talked about all these virtues that Paul has given us from 1 Corinthians 13 as to what love is like in practice, and we've talked about them extensively. Let's go ahead and talk about what we do with this knowledge now. Let's talk about what we're supposed to be undertaking now. So there's a lot in this reading. So let's go ahead and get right into it. And he doesn't open it because this is just part of the analysis. But this section was introduced with the following line, which sets the tone, really. Now, the business of our lives, not of our teens, not of our 20s, not of our 30s, the business of our lives is to fit these things being the virtues, into our character. That is the supreme thing to which we need to address ourselves, to learn to love. The supreme thing of which we need to address ourselves. That is quite a assignment. What's awesome about that, he immediately gives us purpose. He gives us direction. He gives us instruction. The business of our lives, entire lives, is to fit these things into our character. So these are instructions for the next step. We're supposed to take all these virtues, these 9 virtues we spoke of, and we're supposed to integrate this into our lives, into our relationships, into everything that we do. And not only is this kind of an important thing, this is the supreme thing that we should be doing. This should be our ultimate aim. A lot of people have trouble with saying that is going to be my ultimate aim. A lot of people don't understand how that can be the ultimate aim of someone's life, is to improve their character in such a way to align with a description or a assignment of what love in practice is from Paul in the Bible. But when you think about it, when you actually practice love, when you incorporate it into your life, when you build the character that is described as loving character, it enables you and facilitates your growth in such a way that you get to, it'll take you to places you never thought possible, right? We are to take these virtues and integrate them into our character. That is simply the only direction we need to take. The rest will sort itself out. When we do these things, the rest will sort itself out. When it's different from what we're told today. I can tell you, it's different from the direction that we're given today. It just is. And then it also says there right at the end, we need to address ourselves to learn to love. This is the supreme thing we do. And it also says this is the business of our lives. This is the business of our lives. This is, like I said, it's not our 20s. It's not our teens. It's not our 30s. It's not when we get around to it. It's not after we retire. It's not when our parents instill them in us. This is something we will explore for the rest of our lives. It's something we will have to be a student of until we die. This is our supreme task in life, is to develop a loving character. That's a beautiful thing. There's so many people walking around today saying, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know where to go. I don't know how to live. I don't know what to actually do. What's my purpose? Well, right here, we're given one. Be loving. Be loving in the way we just outlined over the last 2 months, 3 months. Be loving in a way that will carry you to heights beyond anything you can comprehend. Integrate loving virtue into your character in all ways and see what happens. That's the lifelong pursuit for us. So, now, where do we do this, right? Turns out we do it everywhere. The next part says, and life is full of opportunities. Again, and life is full of opportunities for learning love. Every man and woman has 1,000 of them every day. The world is not a playground. It is a schoolroom. And its greatest lesson, and its great lesson that we are always to learn, is the lesson of love in all its parts. Wow. So this reading, when it says it is not a playground, it is a schoolroom, this directly shifts the perspective of what so many people have today, right? Today we are constantly in pursuit of and taught that we need to set ourselves in such a way to take everything we can from life, to extract what is necessary for us to maintain our own personal individual happiness and contentment with life. We're on this vain pursuit of external gratification and this external fulfillment of joy in our souls and this contentment with life. We view the world as our playground. Like, this is what we get to take from. We're going to just go do whatever it is what we want to do and do whatever it is we want to actually be involved with and just take life for what it can offer us. This idea switches the entire thing. It is not a playground. It is a schoolroom. It is our environment to facilitate our growth and our knowledge and our application of having loving character. We are not to view the world as something we take from anymore. We're supposed to bring with us love into all our relationships. We're supposed to bring with us love into all our interactions and all of our words and all of our thoughts. We are meant to be of service to this world, not take from this world. We have it backwards. So many of us have it backwards. I had it backwards for so long. I had it until I started this spiritual journey. And this was not a concept that I could actually comprehend or understand at the beginning of this whole thing. I didn't realize that I was trying to take from the world. I was supposed to be giving to the world. I had so much fear. I had so much insecurity. I had so much worry that excuse me, I thought I had to scrape and scramble and desperately, neurotically take from the world. But instead, we're supposed to be of service to it. And not only are we supposed to be of service to it, we're supposed to be continually be improving our ability to be of service to God and others in this world. What a concept. This isn't just once in a while when we feel like it, we'll do something nice for somebody so we can pat ourselves on the back. We are supposed to be of service to everyone in our lives at all times. And that's pretty amazing. That is an incredibly dramatic, what I guess would be called a paradigm shift of viewing what the world is to each individual. A complete shift in perspective and purpose of why we live. It's not these selfish gratifications. It's to be of service. And then Drummond highlights here that it's also a forever learning, right? The great lesson that we are always to learn, not like you said previously, always to learn is the lesson of love in all its parts. We get some of us, and I realize this was a challenge I personally faced, is I'll do well in one area of my life, and then I think I've checked the box. I'm a loving guy. I'm a kind guy. I'm a generous person. Nope. It's supposed to be applied everywhere, in every relationship, in every thought, in every action, with every person we come in contact with. We don't just practice it in one area of our lives. We're supposed to bring that with us everywhere. People will, if you're in 12-step recovery, this might sound familiar. We're not supposed to just be emotionally sober with other members of 12-step fellowships. We're supposed to be emotionally sober in our conduct 100% of the time, to the best of our ability. We should be aiming for that in all of our actions. And that will take a lifetime to continuously practice, to grow in knowledge and understanding, to continue to develop, to gain perspective on what is truly loving and what might not be, in all its parts. Always to learn. Those are big words. Those are big concepts. That's a big time frame. That's a big application. Well, it turns out love's a pretty big thing. Turns out it's a pretty vital part of our role and our function of what we're doing here. And it also just happens to be that we're not good at it. And I think over the last, 100 years, 120 years, we've gotten worse at it. And we really need to be able to we really need to start focusing on this again. There's a lot of discussion, talk in many different spiritual circles, in many different political circles, in many different religious circles, in many different just social circles about how we need to be a more loving and kind group of individuals, which is not a novel concept, but it seems to have been lost on us these days. It was lost on me. It was lost on me till I found these types of books and this type of literature and these types of spiritual growths. I didn't know how to do this. I didn't know this was possible. But now, I know this is how we should be oriented. This is how we should be engaging with the world. And I love that Drummond just says this, and we get the innumerable opportunities, right? He says life is full of opportunities for learning to love. Every man and woman has 1,000 of them every day, right? Like every single thing we do, word, action, thought, is an opportunity to practice love, is an opportunity to refine ourselves, is an opportunity to grow in knowledge and understanding. You can't say, well, I didn't see a place to do it today. You can't say that nothing came up. We get to intentionally practice this everywhere in our lives. And then Drummond goes on to stress the importance of the practice, the simple concept of the need of constant practice of these principles was being emphasized, right? He said, professional musician, professional athlete, professional this, professional that, right? And practice is required, right? And I also wanted to read that one specific part again. Please bear with me here. It said, practice. What makes a good man? What makes a man a good man is practice. Right? Every man can be impulsive. Every man can be judgmental. Every man can be condemning and quick to anger. Right? Practice is what we need. There is nothing capricious about religion. We do not get the soul in a different way under different laws from that in which we get the body, right? It is a practice, a religious practice or a spiritual practice, right? We need to do this. We can't just hope we think about it enough that it eventually manifests in our actions. We have to take intentional actions to practice this. And then the thoughts, the actions, the words, they all line up eventually. But we need to make sure we're intentionally putting ourselves out there. We can't hope we'll do the right thing when a situation presents itself. We should be making an intentional effort in all that we do to practice it, to get a little bit of experience of doing it in a loving way, doing something in a loving way, to practice kindness, to practice patience, to practice whatever it is that the situation calls for. We need to practice, and this is why. And if a man does not exercise his soul, he has no muscle in his soul, no strength of character, no robustness. Love is not a thing of emotion and gush. It is a robust, strong, manly, vigorous expression of the whole character and nature in its fullest development. And these things are only to be acquired by daily and hourly practice. If you want to have good character in all of your interactions, you have to practice having good character in every interaction. You can't just hope to do the virtuous thing when a situation is especially tenuous or stressful or an extremely important time for virtue to be practiced. I mean, that's a great hope, but we prepare ourselves in a more effective and understanding way when we do it this way. When we actually practice it intentionally in all of our interactions. We like to prioritize. We like to dismiss. We like to just put ourselves in a situation where, hey, I don't need to do it right now. I'll do it when I need to. Right? That's not what we're supposed to be doing here. That's not the purpose of building loving character, of having a loving heart, of thinking loving thoughts. It is to do it everywhere. It is to do it at all times, in all interactions with all people. The daily practice of love and its virtues helps us discover who we are as well. It says robustness of character, strength of character, right? It's not... I really am. I'm happy that he included this in this book, actually, that he corrects the perception of what a loving person is. And I believe we still have that incorrect perception today. He stated it is not a, how did he say it? Love is not a thing of emotion and gush. We do not just, it's not this overly emotional, dysregulated, person that's just crying all the time or in fear all the time or this or in that. It's just this person that just has this unmanageable state about them. That is not a loving person. That is a person that has not developed a fully loving character. We're supposed to have compassion. We're supposed to have empathy and understanding. We're supposed to be sincere and kind and patient. But we're supposed to have strength of character. We're supposed to have this robustness to our character. He gives us a better composite of what this is. He says, robust, strong, manly, and vigorous expression of the whole character. Right? So all of the loving aspects, I do want to say too, remember this lecture when it was initially given, was given to a room full of men in a religious receiving religious education. So this is, and so you can take the term manly and really put in boundaried and structured, right? And because sometimes a healthy masculine sense is one that has healthy boundaries and has healthy structure and awarenesses like that. So I just wanted to mention that. But so this picture he builds, though, this robust character, this strong character, this structured character, masculine character almost as well, is this true expression of love. A true sense of love will help build those around you, will help be of service to those around you in such a way that their lives will improve should they choose to engage, right? That is what a loving person does. That is what loving character actually means. It's not this overly compassionate and tearful, dysregulated person that can be of no genuine real service because it takes forever for them to regulate themselves, let alone help someone else with regulating their situation and circumstances. And again, we're supposed to practice this daily and hourly. So all the time, this is what we're talking about, all the time, in every way. And it seems overwhelming, but just get started. That's all you've got to do. Just get started. Pick one and start practicing it as much as you can remember to practice it. And eventually the habits build. Eventually your character builds. Eventually that soul muscle that he was talking about will grow in strength and bounds. And you will be able to actually practice it in ways you never thought possible. And when you start doing that, you bring that into all areas of your life. Drummond went into this, hey, don't complain about your circumstances. Don't complain about the quality of your life. Don't complain about the temptations that you face every single day, right? You are in this specific position because it will give you opportunities to practice, right? A loving heart doesn't look to escape its circumstance or situation. It's looking at its circumstance and situation and saying, what can I learn from this? How did I end up here? What position am I in? How can I be of service to other people? Right? What do I need to learn in these moments? We don't just run. We're always able to learn. We're always able to have loving interactions and growth. That's what we're tasked to do. Not complain about the state of the world, but give ourselves the opportunity to love despite circumstance and situation. And you'll be amazed the changes that happen in those times. You'll be amazed at the opportunities you get when you start to just be loving and being of service to those around you in a healthy way. Things will change that you thought were never going to. Opportunities will present themselves that you didn't even consider. And I can't tell you when. I can't even honestly guarantee you that it will happen in a way that you even like. But this constant practice will change your life. And sometimes just the practice alone will just change the way you view life. Then it's like you got a new one anyway. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing to be able to do. Everywhere we get this opportunity to practice, right? And Drummond expands on this idea. He says, that is your practice, which God appoints you. That is your practice. And it is having its work in making you patient and humble and sincere and unselfish and kind and courteous and guileless. Do not grudge the hand that is molding the shapeless image in you. It is growing more beautiful, and every touch is adding to its perfection. So your circumstances that you are in right now, my circumstances that I am in right now, are molding and shaping me through the opportunity to practice loving virtue every moment of every single day. And not only is it molding us, but it's an intentional molding of us. It is an intentional shaping of our character that's occurring. And every time we practice virtue instead of selfish and self-centered action, our character just grows in refinement. It becomes more beautiful, he said, and every touch is adding to its perfection. It's adding to the strength that we're supposed to bring with us and carry with us throughout this world to everybody that we come in contact with, that we get the opportunity to be of service to. This is an absolutely stunning part of the reading. Most will not like it. I understand. It's not fun to hear that. Some people find themselves in situations so precarious that they might think it's ridiculous and that can't apply to them. But the reality of it is, the truest application of love and love's virtues and principles will apply to everybody. And what do you have to learn in your circumstance? What do you have to learn in your situation? What do you have to understand? How can you be best of service to somebody? And that can sometimes mean ending a relationship. That can sometimes mean setting boundaries. That can sometimes mean letting someone get the consequences of their actions. And it's not fun. It's not comfortable. It's new. It's different. We'd rather appease than set a boundary. We'd rather run than face. We are right where we are supposed to be. And I hated that idea for so long. I suffered so much because of my distaste for that. That was in my drinking and my drugging and in my sobriety, in my recovery, in my spiritual journey. I have suffered because I have not been willing to practice loving virtue. So for those that hear this and they're not a fan, I think it's not for them or my circumstance is different. Obviously, I don't know for sure, but I do know the application of principle and virtue works in all situations. We like to feel like we're special, but at the end of the day, we're individuals. But we're not that unique. We need to look at the opportunities we have to be loving, to be kind, to practice these loving virtues that we've been blessed with the opportunity to do. We question things many times when in reality we need to just continue to grow in our knowledge and understanding. Why did we do this? Why am I going through this, God? Why are you punishing me? Why? That's our favorite question. It's like, why? How dare you do this to me, God? Like God's coming down and messing our lives up intentionally. When most times I could probably confidently say every time when we look at it, we've made a string of decisions and that put us around people and in situations that we knew were risky. And that means we're right where we're supposed to be to learn the lessons that we need to learn. Because if every decision you've made up until this point brought you to a place that you are not happy or comfortable with, then you have to take a look at your reasons and motivations for those previous decisions. And you might have thought they were coming from a good place. You might have been deceived. You have to understand those things, learn the lessons, and then be loving, whatever that looks like. That faith that the God of our understanding is molding us and giving us this opportunity to experience these things takes a lot of faith It's really not easy, you know. We resist. I say I'll keep it on me. I resist this to such an extent. Um, I'll always just. I always used to want things to be different than they actually are. I always used to want to think that um, what was happening just wasn't right. But what I've come to find and what I have come to know is what is right will happen, even if I don't like what is happening. And I will just have to have the opportunity to grow in knowledge and understanding. We prefer to run from problems. And I preferred to run from problems, whether it was physically moving state to state, city to city, relationship to relationship, or whether it was escaping through the use of distraction or chemicals like drugs and alcohol, or behaviors like gambling and other sexual exploits. There's a lot that happens. There's a lot that we do to just avoid taking responsibility, to avoid practicing a loving heart and loving actions. Because the faith is quite difficult to believe. Now, he next, I'm going to read around the German. I'm not reading it again, but he says, keep in the midst of life. Do not isolate yourself. Be among men and among things and among troubles and amongst difficulties and obstacles. Goethe's words, talent develops itself in solitude, character in the stream of life. Talent develops itself in solitude. The talent of prayer and faith, character in the stream of life. That is where you learn to love. We are meant to go live lives. We're not meant to just sit here with these concepts and these principles and talking about them with people and just spiritually patting each other on the back or living alone in this isolated state, believing that we're on this spiritual hilltop, when in reality, we can't manage a single personal relationship and we can't practice virtue in any of them. So we've ran from them. We've ran so many times just to give us the opportunity to avoid practicing virtue in an actual life situation. Do not run from the love. Do not run from living your life. People do this all the time. We're supposed to be a part of it. He says here, do not isolate yourself. Be among men, among things, among troubles, amongst difficulties and obstacles. Because what good is virtue if it's easy to practice? What good is to say that this is the loving way to be if we are never in a situation to practice that loving way? It's real easy to be virtuous when unchallenged. It's really easy to be virtuous when by yourself. True virtue is practiced in the midst of living. True virtue is practiced in that stream of life, is what he's talking about here. We're supposed to develop the application of the virtue, not just the idea of them. That's the difference between just intellectual knowledge and the knowing and application of a loving heart, of loving actions. We have to be willing to engage. This means with our families, with our friends, with absolutely everybody, and absolutely everything, and every institution. We are to practice this. And there will be times where it will be difficult to practice this. There will be times where our character defects, our shortcomings, our selfishness, our self-centeredness, our fears and our desires will be cropping up, and we have to intentionally go against them and do the loving, virtuous, kind, principled thing. And we will not like it. I do not like it sometimes. But it is the way that we get to grow, we get to develop, we get to be. We are supposed to live, be a part of this world, be of service to this world, and not run and hide and be self-righteous. We get to pray. We get to meditate. We get to talk with God in private. That's what that last part was about. Talent, our own personal connections, our old religious practices. Those are done in solitude. While the development of character and virtuous character, loving character, well, that's done in the stream of life. Now, for those who are in a 12-step fellowship, especially an Alcoholics Anonymous fellowship, you'll recognize that term. Stream of life. Maybe you've wondered where it came from. Well, I believe now you know. What can we pack into the stream of life? Well, maybe it's a loving character is what we're supposed to be packing into the stream of life. So that is it. That's it for this episode. Like I said, I do believe we'll be able to finish up this section, the second section of The Greatest Thing in the World by Henry Drummond. I think the analysis probably will get done next week. It'll be a longer reading, but we'll get through it. So thank you all again so much for your support and listening in on this and the shorts and everything else. So it is greatly appreciated. So until next time, thanks.